This is lesson 2, and in lesson 2, we are going to talk about your target audience. In preparation for this, make sure you've completed your content strategy worksheet. So what are we going to cover today? We are going to cover what you've learned so far, target audiences, why they're important. We're going to talk about what a customer persona is, and we're talking a little bit about generational marketing. We're going to walk through and start creating one of your customer personas. And then I've created a couple more fictitious companies and customer personas for them for you. So what have we learned so far? So far, we've talked about goals and content strategy, why they're important, how they make things easier. And then we started filling out your content strategy worksheet. So if you haven't done so yet, print yours out or keep it handy, because having it as a reference point while we go through these other things is going to be helpful. Okay, so why should we go through the time of creating personas, which we're going to talk about, and really knowing your target audience? So the first thing is that it helps you create language so that you're talking to somebody, right? Posts that are created and that talk to somebody just resonates more with your audience, and they're more likely to like you, follow you, and buy your product or service. While we don't cover ads in this lesson or training series, there is going to be another training series for ads. And so, or even if you're doing ads now, they make them less expensive because you really hone in on who you want to have as a customer. And so in this lesson, we're going to be figuring out what social tools that you're going to be posting on. You don't need to post on all of them. You really need to post on the ones where your audiences are hanging out. So what is a customer persona? In general, you're making up a bio of that perfect customer for your company or your service. They're the right type of person. What I want you to do is think about like that perfect customer that you've had, or maybe the person that inspired you to create your business. And that's really what you're going to base this around. And you need one for each type of buyer. So if you sell multiple products or services or have multiple lines, you're going to need one for each type. And then even if you talk to men and women differently, you're going to probably need a persona for them. But don't make yourself crazy. Start out by creating 3 and then see if you need more than that. So the type of information, high level, we're going to be focusing on is demographics, personality information, challenges, and interests. But before we go there, we're going to go through generational marketing. And what this is going to do is it's going to help you at a high level decide what your social media platforms are that you're going to post on. This slide and the next slide are a PDF download available to you so that you can print them and keep them with your stuff. So you don't have to do screen grabs here. There's a PDF. Okay, so let's talk about the different generations and where they hang out. So boomers, their age is 55 to 73, and they really are active on social media, and their platform of choice is Facebook. They're hanging out, looking at pictures of grandkids and family. There's a lot of community-based stuff for organizations that they may volunteer for on Facebook. Gen X, my generation, 43 to 54. Platform of choice is Facebook. Probably because it was the platform for a very long time. But again, for boomers and even somewhat into millennials, there's features on Facebook that other platforms don't have. And that's mainly the job boards, your groups, and events, right? You can say you're going to an event that someone else has shared on Facebook, where that feature just doesn't exist anywhere else. And if you're looking for a job, yeah, you can go look on LinkedIn, but there's also job boards, and they're very popular on Facebook. Millennials, ages 23 to 37. their primary platform is Instagram, but I see them starting to migrate more, not migrate, but to also utilizing more of Facebook. And probably for those same reasons. There's groups, so they want to join family groups. There's job boards, there's buy, sell, and trade. And then there's events that they're going to want to attend, right? They're becoming more social in their community. And then we've got our Gen Zs. They're being born now, and they're going all the way up to age 23, starting to get some buying power, big into game playing, right? So their platform of choice is YouTube. They like consuming things through video more than anything else. But what's interesting about the Gen Zs is because they've never known life without social media, is that they enjoy all the platforms. So they'll go to Facebook, they'll go to Instagram, they love YouTube, and then they use other platforms more readily like TikTok and Snapchat and all these other smaller platforms. So if they're your target audience, if you're building a game, if you're trying to promote a game, then you got to look at these other minor platforms as well as the big guys. So to kind of start us out, down the road of the customer persona, let's talk at a generational level of how to talk to them, so that you're kind of that you are resonating with them. So boomers, when it comes to a company or brand, they really want to know what's in it for them, right? Why should I buy your product? Me, right? What's the value? Is it the lowest price? Is it the most value? Do I get the best bang for my buck? What is it? They want to know why they should buy it. When they go to purchase, right, they may look online. They're going to check out your website. They may see you on Facebook. They may see you someplace else, but they're either going to come into your store or they are going to call you to finalize things, right? They're still very much more comfortable with that face-to-face or person-to-person interaction. Your Gen Zs, they're kind of like the forgotten generation, because we're sandwiched between the boomers and the millennials who got a lot of press about these generations and who they are and what they do. Gen X, we kind of feel like we fell through the crack a little bit. So if you're talking to Gen Xers, give them a little love, a little of attention, more like a message of like, yeah, we see you, you're important to me, even more so than anybody else. And then you'll have fans for life. They also love technology, right? I think it's because of just growing up through all that rapid technology change, the creation of the desktop, and now all of a sudden all the way through to being mobile first, going from cassette tapes to CDs to digital music, right? We've been there through all of it and watched it as we go, and we're consuming it. So we're very native and love tech. Millennials, they have this fear of missing out. And what that really means is if someone sees that their girlfriend posted a picture of their new hairdo and their nails, and they had this fabulous time at their new salon, when they go to talk to their friend wants to feel like they can participate too. Like, so they want to get their hair done at the same place, and have that same experience. So it's that experiential marketing and being able to share that either online or in person with their tight community. And they're definitely good with instant gratification, right? They will buy online, they will get it to the house in 2 days, and then they will return it and then order something different. They are very comfortable there. So if you create a strategy where you can message them, chatbot them, let them schedule something online or fill out something to get a quote and buy right away, you'll be good with them. Okay, so for Gen Z, if you're not a big fan of marketing to millennials, for whatever reason, I've met a few folks, you're going to really like the Gen Zs because they're a lot more like Gen Xers, right? They relate more. They actually think we're kind of cool, which we are. And I think it's all about the retro, right? They're big fans of 80s music, old tech. They think it's really cool because they've grown up in this digital age. When they see vinyl or they see a cassette player or they see how a photographic print is done, They like that. So in general, if you're trying to talk to Gen Z, frame it around how you're talking to Gen Xers, and I think you'll be well on your way to talking to them the right way. So now that we have that high level information and your content strategy worksheet, let's start talking about what's in a customer persona before we actually go and fill one out. Okay, so demographics. You can have age, income level, where they are, their education level, all these really good things. Personality traits. You're going to be deep diving into their personality, so you kind of figure out how you're going to speak to them and what moves the needle or what moves them or motivates them to make a purchase. And then supporting information for that is the informational sources where they consume stuff. So what books, magazines, podcasts, associations, and then who do they listen to, right? Who are their gurus or their experts? And then we're going to take and then you want to deeper dive into their goals and challenges. In the content strategy worksheet, you figured out 3 questions to answer yes to, but now we're going to kind of bring it down a level and really help figure out what that transformative language looks like. So now it's your turn. Pull up your copy of the customer or buyer persona worksheet, and we're going to walk through it together while you're filling it out. All right, so here we are, the buyer persona worksheet. PDF file that you can fill out online and save as many as you need to. So you're going to start out with a name. Give them a name, right? It makes them feel real, and it gives you a title when you're talking with your team. So if you're talking and brainstorming with the team and it's like, well, Bill likes this, but Bill doesn't like that, you're really going to feel like you're talking about a customer. Identify with a gender, one way or the other. And if you feel like you got to talk differently to men and women for the same product line, then create 2. Okay. Demographics. What are their age? What are their income level? What education did they complete too? So you're going to talk differently to someone who has a master's degree or a PhD than you will to someone who has completed high school. And that's just how things are. So this is aspirationally where you want them to be. Location. Are you a national brand? Are you looking at a local community? Or are you very specific about 5 zip codes or 4 counties? That's what you're going to put in here to remind yourself. And then their family demographic. Are they living at home? Are they single? Are they married? Are they divorced? Do they have kids? Do they have grandkids? You want to figure all of this out or make decisions around all of this. Professional. So this is if you need it. So if you're a B2B company, filling this out for the type of company that you want to work for, or if your product or service services someone in a company, maybe at a personal level or a professional level. So you want their title, the size of their company, because how you talk to a very small company or how you talk to a business owner versus a CEO, totally different. Who do they report to? Because sometimes knowing who they report to also gives you another demographic that you need to look at. And what tools and software are they using for business? Because again, that's going to tell you more about what you show them visually, which we're going to talk about in a later lesson. Personality traits. So here's where we're kind of deep diving into who they are. What interests and hobbies do they have? What's their favorite brands? So for example, are they a Starbucks fan or are they a Dunkin' Donuts fan? Or do they not care? That type of thing. And then their values. A lot of times they equate their values with their brands as well. So that gives you a little bit of insight into them before you can ask about values, right? Do they care about price? Do they care more about value? They're willing to pay more for a product or service, or are they really looking for the cheapest thing out there, right? What resonates with your brand in this case. Informational sources, books and magazines they read. If they don't follow YouTube channels, do they follow podcasts or blogs? What events do they attend? Associations and memberships, both professional and or personal, like where do they volunteer, and gurus and experts. Again, this is going to help you create the language around how you're going to talk to them based off of what they like. And then challenges and fears and goals, right? So this is really transformational. You're taking them from their challenges and fears and then to their aspirational goals, right? They're going through a transformation. So then the example of the cleaning company, you took this mom from being worried about her kids getting sick, feeling embarrassed when people stopped by because her house wasn't clean, to always excited to have people over and proud that her family is healthy because she decided to hire a cleaning service. So you're going to go through those problems that you created and maybe take a deeper dive or look at them differently based off of who you're creating here. And maybe have different questions for different personas that you're following through on. Okay, so I want you to go ahead, finish these up, get them to a state of where you're comfortable with them, maybe a first draft. And then we'll come back and we'll take a look at a couple of examples that I've created. Okay, so we are ready to review some examples if you have gone through and gotten yours to a place where you're comfortable. And hopefully these examples will help give you thoughts and inspiration on maybe tweaking yours. Alrighty, so our first example is a company that I created that sells natural jerky. So they do beef jerky, chicken, bison, some different exotic meats, and they're located in Dallas, Texas. And they really like to market locally. They're not looking to be a big fancy chain or go coast to coast. They want to stay in their local market. So our first persona is Bill. And Bill is 25, so he's a millennial. He's a college graduate. He's making some decent money, and he lives in Dallas. And I also put in here the statistical area, the very specific name of his statistical area based off of census data. Because if you want to go mine the free census data, you need this information so that you can at least see what demographic he's in, because that's where they give you your age and what they pay for houses and all that really, really good stuff. So I always like to pop something like that in there too, so that I don't have to go back and try to remember what the area is, because some of them are named a little weird. Bill's single, but he's got a girlfriend. Okay, so we don't care too much about Bill's profession, but the thing we do care about with someone like Bill is that he's a mobile phone user, not a desktop user. And if you remember back, I said this type of information is important when you're figuring out how you format content, and we are going to talk about that in a later lesson. So just make sure you're collecting that type of information. Personality traits, so Bill's a sports fan. He likes football, baseball, cycling. He does some cycling himself. And then when he's not out and about, he likes to play video games and he loves comic books. He collects them. His favorite brands are Ford Truck. And then for coffee, I always like to figure out what people like as far as coffee goes. It tells me a lot about them. He goes local. Acre Distillery and Coffee House. So during the day, they brew wonderful coffee, and at night, they're a distillery. They're like a bar you can hang out at. So it kind of, that's his hangout place with his friends. Starts giving you an insight into his value system. He likes supporting local brands. He volunteers. He thinks giving back is really, really important. So now let's look at his informational sources. So he likes podcasts. He uses Stitcher. One of his podcasts is Fantasy Pro Football, supports his sports habit. One of the YouTube channels he likes is Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is an influential YouTuber, and he does some cool, funny stuff, but he's also tries to use his influence to help impact environmental issues. So go check him out. And a music player that he likes to use is Spotify. He's a Simon Sinek fan, and again, His gym membership is local. It's Burn Dallas Gym, which is locally owned, single location versus like an LA Fitness type change. So we're understanding more about Bill here. Not just local, but he's very specific about the tools and the things that he likes, because he's not using apps that are native to his phone for things like podcasts and music. He's downloaded and is purposefully using Spotify and Stitcher. So again, he knows what he wants, he knows what he likes, and it's not mainstream. So now we can deep dive a little bit more into his challenges and fears. He cares if what he buys is sustainable and local, right? He's not a big fan of chains or big national brands. I mean, he uses them, but if he's found a different alternative that's better, he's more than open to that. And then he's concerned about what he puts in his body, right? Preservatives, non-natural ingredients. He doesn't want to harm his health, right? But he still wants to eat cool things like beef jerky. So his goals. He wants to know what and where the items he consumes comes from. And local is better. And then he also wants to feel proud of these products and brands so that when he does share them, right, he feels good about sharing them, right? Hey, I eat this type of beef jerky. You know, that type of thing. And other people can go, oh, that's really cool. I should check that out. Like that's what he's kind of looking for there a little bit, is a little bit of, social support. All right, so that's Bill. Okay, so for our second example, I'm going B2B. And so we've got Sarah. And Sarah is 46, so she is a Gen Xer. Yay! Very decent income there. She works at a bigger company. She's got a master's degree. The company that we're doing this for is a writer, right? They do corporate speech writing. And so they don't care where their customers are, right? They'll do speech writing for everybody coast to coast, but they really don't want like the outlying states or territories. They want to stay, within the 4 time zones. And Sarah's married. She's got 2 kids, and those kids are between the ages of 5 and 15. So we can already kind of tell she's juggling a little bit. So Sarah's title, she's Director of Communications at a company that has 70 plus employees. So she's doing really well for herself there. And this also starts to show us what size company that our corporate speechwriter wants, right? There's a big difference between how you talk to a business owner of a small business, a medium business, and a CEO of a large company, right? You talk to them differently. They think differently. So it's important to kind of decide where you are here. She reports to the VP of Communications. It's good to know, because then if you're on LinkedIn, not only are you targeting directors of communications, but VPs of communications. It's the communication department. And then she's a desktop user at work, right? Not a mobile user. Again, keep that in mind for when you're formatting content. So let's look at her personally, right? She's a part of a book club. She goes to yoga classes. She's okay with big brands. She likes Dunkin' Donuts coffee, Lincoln's, and she buys her clothes through Stitch Fix, right? So she's looking for ways to look good, but do it easier, because maybe she doesn't have time to shop. And so this kind of goes into her values a little bit, where, she really wants to strive for work-life balance. She loves her job, she loves her family, she wants both, and she wants to do it all really well. So she's looking for ways to keep it all simple and easy for her. So let's take a deeper dive into informational sources about her. Books. She likes Outlander series. This Discovery of Witch series will pop down to TV shows like Madam Secretary and Great British Baking Show. So strong female character type of shows, right? That resonates with her. That's how she sees herself. If she's watching these type of things. Podcasts are Radio Lab and This American Life. So she's interested in different thoughts and concepts other than what you get from mainstream. And her guru is Tony Robbins. So challenges and fears. So what does she worry about at work, right? She's worried about setting the right communication tone for the C-suite when they're talking internally and externally, because that's part of her job. And then the other thing that is always on the back of her mind is making sure that her boss is impressed with her to keep her career on track, because she's got aspirations to become the VP of Communications if she's a senior director now. So her goals, right? We talked a little bit about that. But really, one of her goals is to hire a writer who can understand what they need, help set that tone, and get speeches done within 2 to 3 drafts so that she can coordinate everything else, right? She's delegating, and she's open to delegating because that's part of her work-life balance. See how these are coming together? And then she wants to be confident in that speechwriter so that, she can look at her boss and go, I hire the right people to do the right job. He's impressed, and, everybody else is impressed, which keeps her moving. So go through these, finish fleshing out your customer personas, and I will see you when we come back. Okay, so hopefully you had good luck and fun with filling out your customer personas. I enjoy doing customer persona work personally. I think it's fun making these people up and kind of deciding how they want to be spoken to, because then it makes content writing so much easier. I actually start thinking about content as I'm fleshing this stuff out. So we learned a lot, and let's kind of bring it together and balance it all out and give you some next steps so that you're productive. If you haven't already, figure out how many customer personas you need and get the top ones done, right? No more than 3. You may say, oh my goodness, I need 6. You know what? If you just start out with 3, you're going to be so much further along than if you had 0. So good, better, best, right? If you're stumped about how to get all this information, right? Look at surveys, do some research, use that generational marketing information to find sources deep dive you in more, because if you know you're approximately looking at millennials, you can do Google searches that say what are the top 10 brands that millennials like, and there'll be a current article that kind of goes through what's popular right now. The other thing you can do is you can interview current clients or potential clients. I love interviewing potential clients. You find someone you think they're going to be a really good fit, and then you say, hey, can you help me out? Can I interview you? I'm doing some market research and I would really love some insight into your background and philosophies and values to help me make my company better. When you ask someone for help, 99% of the time, they're going to say yes, because who doesn't want to help someone else out? And you're not asking for money or for them to buy anything. It is just purely market research. And who knows? Maybe they'll become a client of yours. And so you've got enough information now, even if you've only filled out 1 persona, maybe 2, you've got the generational information where you can choose your social platforms. So choose your weapons. Is it LinkedIn? Is it YouTube? Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Is it 2 of them or 3 of them? Just don't go crazy, right? If it feels overwhelming, start with 1. And then when you get that down, add on. Okay, if your personas are done and you want me to check them out, send them over. Send me your content strategy worksheet too, because that way I can answer things better by looking at all of it. And then if you're just submitting questions, send me over the documentation as well. I'll give you better answers if I have more information, I promise. Okay, go finish these up and I will see you in the next lesson.